It's hard to believe we're only a little more than a month away from Splatoon's release. We've been learning more and more about how the game will play, but the ironic thing is, the more we know, the less there is to analyze. Of course, that doesn't mean we can't find any secrets or hidden details in the new Splatoon footage. After all, the old analysis machine has more than an inkling to what we can expect from the full game. So let's take a look at exactly what it found. While there really wasn't anything new to see in the multiplayer modes themselves, we did get our first look at the online lobby. On the top left, it looks like the game will tell you exactly which mode you'll be playing when choosing between ranked and regular battles. As we've been told before, Splat Zones are exclusive to ranked battles, but players can read up on the rules so they know exactly what they're getting into. Below that is a list of stages. However, we're not quite sure why it's only showing one option, especially since there's enough room for 2 more. Would online maps have to be unlocked? Or can players choose to limit which maps appear on the stage randomizer? Or could there be some kind of tournament option that automatically chooses what stages appear in ranked battles? We're really not sure. What we do know is that the wooden fort stage we've been seeing for a while now is called Camp Triggerfish. More interesting though is that each multiplayer stage can be explored in a recon mode. This will allow players to really study all the nooks and crannies of a level before taking that knowledge online. Moving to the lower right side, we can see that players can change their equipment in the lobby simply by hitting the plus button. That should save backtracking if you just want to make a few adjustments and get right back into the thick of things. Above the inkling is something we've never seen before. It's some kind of board that lists chill but shows that there's no change to it. Is this some kind of new stat? Or maybe a judgment of your playstyle? Or could it be something else? We're just as confused by the symbol that's right above it. It seems to show a character, but none that we've seen before. Does it count your wins? Is it an extra reward for doing well? Or could it even be linked to a different online mode that we haven't seen yet? After all, the developers did hint at another hidden online mode in the recent Edge interview. Maybe it's like capture the flag and this is the object you're grabbing and bringing back to your base. The number shows how many times you've captured it. It's just a wild guess though, since we really don't know for sure. The rest of the information we've seen before, including the player's total coins, online rank, and level. However, the lobby also shows how much experience is needed to level up. There's no context for how long gaining the level would take, but at least it's easy to track. As we said, there's not really much else that can be seen in the online multiplayer, but in that same Edge interview, the developers confirmed there would be no voice chat, though we can see that the D-pad can be used to shout out canned messages to other players. It only shows 2 though, so can players customize them, or do other messages have to be unlocked? Finally, you'll be able to see what stat boost your equipment is providing beneath the super meter. It's a nice little reminder of what you're working with, especially since the gear earned in multiplayer cannot be used in single player and vice versa. Despite the lack of new information on the online, we did get our first look at the offline multiplayer in the form of the Battle Dojo. It only supports one-on-one battles with one player on the gamepad while the other uses the TV. However, the mode does seem well thought out in order to force the 2 players to interact as much as possible. First of all, the balloons won't be spread out through the entire stage with players making a mad dash for them. Instead, their spawn points will be easily visible with 20 seconds to reach that spot. It's a great idea as it continually pushes the players together. However, as we saw in the treehouse footage, the balloons won't stay in the same spot forever. If they're not all popped for whatever reason after 30 seconds, they'll automatically start the 20-second time for the new spawn point. If all the balloons are popped in less than 30 seconds, then naturally the next spawn point countdown will happen sooner. But taking out your opponent is worth the time too. If you kill them, then half of their balloons will be taken away. The same thing will happen to you though. We're not sure if the system rounds up or down if it's an odd number, since it never happened during the footage. However, we do know that you can't go back to 0 after collecting 1 balloon. We suppose that's considered a charity. Once the match reaches the final minute, balloon points are doubled to raise the stakes. Whoever reaches 30 points first wins. That, or whoever has the most points at the end of the time limit. Spicing up the competition are boxes that can be broken for a tuna can. Collecting one grants a random power or item. We can see that it actually starts a slot roll showing the different possibilities, including the Ink Zuka, Ink Strike, Bubbler, Point Sensor, a Super Jump, a full power-up, a Disruptor, and a Sprinkler. This does seem pretty random though, as many of these items appeared multiple times throughout. Unfortunately, we don't really know what some of the items do. Does the full power-up increase the player's power, or just immediately recharge their ink? And we see the disruptor in action, but nothing seems to happen. Does it just mess with the player's controls since it shows a kind of confusion sign above the Inkling's head? Finally, we can see that players will be able to easily switch between weapons after each match. Ease of use seems to be a high priority for Splatoon. And really, that's about it except for the newly revealed Amiibos. Thanks to the Edge interview, we now know that each Amiibo will unlock 15 single-player challenges and 5 rare pieces of gear. That means 45 different challenges and 15 pieces of gear if you're able to grab all 3. But this still leaves some questions. For one, when it says pieces of gear, it might mean sets. Because, during the direct footage, it shows some of this gear, including a full samurai set. Right there is 3 pieces of gear. Would that mean there's only 2 more to unlock with that Amiibo? Or is the samurai gear just 1 set and there are 4 more sets to unlock? Well, we think we get the answer a little bit later, but we'll get to that after taking a closer look at the gear itself and the challenges. Other than the samurai gear, we also see that a squid mech suit will be available and a schoolgirl outfit with a squid hair clip. They're definitely nice little bonuses that do stand out from the other gear we've seen so far. The challenges also have us curious. Thanks to the treehouse and a little bit of the direct, we see the challenges seem to mainly take the form of using a different weapon to play through a standard story mission. This is a challenge since the only weapon available in single player will be the standard splatter shot, so the challenges will add variety. But is each of the 45 challenges spread across the 3 Amiibo for completely different levels, or the same set of 15 levels but each Amiibo uses a different weapon? Well, during the Japanese trailer we did get to see which levels will be included as challenges, and it won't be the first 15. In fact, it skips around quite a bit, all the way up to level 27. This screen also tells us that a new piece of gear unlocks with every 3 missions completed, so this would confirm that the gear is individual pieces and not sets. And of course, even the unlockable gear can be leveled up and expanded like the rest, as we can see with the hair clip. Okay, we're almost done here, but the Japanese trailer also gave us a look at a few more things. First up is the gun range. We saw the option to test the guns before in the weapon shop, and this is the form it will take. There are different sizes showing how much ink is required to secure the kill, allowing players to compare and contrast. The super weapon meter is also filled, allowing them to be tested as well. Then, we finally get a look at how the ink brush works. As we suspected, it's a much faster version of the ink roller. It can probably send out a wave of ink like that can too. The trade-off is that it doesn't cover as wide of an area in ink, so it becomes a question of speed versus coverage. Finally, we get another closer look at the arcade machine in the central hub. There's not much more to say about it, but it should serve as a nice distraction at the very least. It won't be much longer until we get the answers to these questions. Splatoon is looking to be a great new IP from Nintendo, and all of us just can't wait to play even more. Hopefully, an official release date will be revealed soon. Of course, let us know if we missed anything in the comments. If you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at GameXplain to keep up with everything we do. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Splatoon and other things gaming.